Welcome to In the Blue. It's a beautiful December day here in Salt Lake City, Utah, where we are broadcasting live from our BlueIQ studios. I've got an amazing guest with us today, and this topic, we've touched a lot on leadership in our BlueIQ series, but this one is different. Dr. Letran comes to us from a dental background. She is a dentist, but she also has her master's degree, and she's specializing in helping providers reach their maximal performance. Now, this goes back to things that we've talked a lot about with what athlete doesn't have a coach, what high performer doesn't have a coach. Doc really done a great job of helping to maximize and tap into the human potential, which we've talked about is our greatest asset. We're going to go over this offer at the end is the 5 hacks that you can do to unlock significant profits within your practice. So you've got to stay to the end for that free offer. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, click the notification button so you know that we go live and when we go live to be a part of our show. So Dr. Emily, how she likes to be addressed, we're so excited to have you part of the show today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me on the show, Corey. I'm super, super excited. We have a cloudy day here in California.
Yeah.
Not quite sunny yet, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to be able to be on your platform and to share some of my strategies on how to activate your potential and become a high performance leader, which I think and I believe that that is one of the gap that we have with healthcare professionals. We know the strategies, we know what we're supposed to do. We just need to make sure that we're doing it every day consistently and making that our way of life.
I think that's an incredible point. And just so that our audience knows, we're going to put a link to Dr. Emily's background because you got to see what this woman has done. I mean, not only graduating at the top of her class in dental school, but being the alumni president and then getting certified as a high performance coach, moving on to so many different positions. She's written books. She is a national speaker. She's been on TEDx. I mean, oh my goodness, you have lived this life of high performance, and so let's step into our very first topic here of how to activate that potential.
Well, high performance is heightened and sustained result of clarity, energy, productivity, courage, and influence. And whenever I have a conversation with a practitioner, it's always, I want to do this and I want to reach that. But sometimes we're not real clear why we want to do it. That's the clarity part. The reason you want to do something will drive your action.
Mm,
I tell people if you set your own priorities and you know what's most important to you, then it's very easy to just rule out all the distractions that people always say, well, no, I don't have enough time. It's because they allow so
mhm.
much distractions in their life. And you
Yeah,
want to activate that potential. You got to know, I'm trying to go from A to B. So you either join me on the road or you just get out of my way. Or you don't.
I love that. I love it. I'm
Yeah.
going to run
So,
you
so
over.
yes, because that's where the clarity is. Or sometimes people complain about their staff. My staff say this and my staff say that, and I can't really tell the hygienist who's been around for 20 years. That's your courage. That's part of what you need to have if you want to be a leader. So to activate your full potential, you need to have all of those elements working for you, and you need to be very conscious about it. You need to be very intentional about it, and that's what I help. The dentist, the chiropractors, all the practitioners do is to
Yeah.
make sure that that's your focus all the time, whether
Mm,
you're in the clinic or you're hanging around with your family. The same thing. People who don't have
same
time at
thing.
work probably have no time at home
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they probably bring work home and then later on they regret that they don't have the time for the kids, or
Right.
or maybe you should do a takeout dinner instead of spending time cooking and complaining, right? It's very simple things, but it's the mindset,
Mm.
is having that intention and is sticking to it.
What have you
So
found?
that's how you activate.
What have you found in your experience that what percentage of the docs that you work with actually when they meet with you, already are pretty solid on their clarity, or do you
Yeah.
have an exercise that you go with them to discover clarity?
It's a series of questions that I ask
Hmm.
to help them realize where they are as far as the clarity is concerned and where they want to go. So I'll give you a very simple example. Um, your exit strategy. We just make it real simple.
Yeah,
Most people don't think about it,
yeah.
right? Now, if they
So
say,
far
okay,
down the road.
yeah, so now this is my exit strategy. Well, why is that your exit strategy? And they go, well, it's because everybody does the same thing. They sell their office at the end of the at the end of the 30 or 40 years. And then what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that money? What are you going to do with your time? Why do you want to sell it? Why don't you bring in an associate and continue to have that influence in the community? Why don't you, let's say, merge your practice with other providers and make it into a group practice? I mean, there are all these different ways and different things that you can do your exit strategy, but which one you choose depends on what you want. And a
Mm.
lot of people just, I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to do what most people do. And that's so the one of the rules that I learned in in marketing and practice management is don't do what everybody else is doing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
don't have
You're
that
not going to
herd,
stand out.
yeah, don't have that herd mentality. And I think I'm a little bit different from a lot of other people. Number one, because I've been very blessed in meeting certain leaders and learning from mentors, back in the days, listening to or watching VHS tape of Dr. Howard Farran, of Dr. Woody Oakes, and then reading those newsletters that come every month. And then, come to reading journals and then attending conferences and everything. So I guess I have a little bit of a different mindset, and it's because I was very intentional. I've always been very intentional with my learning, with how I
Mm.
spend my time. And so
Yeah,
when you do that, then you would have, I guess, better clarity. So when somebody
I,
is saying I want X, I'm able to ask them five more questions to make sure that it is X that they want, and how are they going to
yeah.
get to X? Yes.
Really define that.
Uh
I
huh.
tell you, that's a very common success trait as we have interviewed so many industry leaders and like yourself have clarified that intentional creation, you cannot let
Hmm.
the day create you. You've got
Right.
to create the day. And it sounds like you do an amazing job of helping them not allow their professional career create them. They need to
Right.
create their professional path.
Yes. Yes. You gotta
Yeah,
you gotta be in
beautiful.
charge. You gotta live your life and not living somebody else's life. And it's not about, I don't care about other people. If I know my goal and I know the time frame I want to reach my goal, and it's because I need to serve my family and serve the community and achieve what I need to achieve in life,
Yeah.
I would do that first before I try to take care of other people's drama.
That's a great point because I see a lot of young docs come out, they have a mentor or they see a successful practice and they say, I want that. I'm going to
Right.
be like that. But
Yes.
what you're saying is those are good examples, but spend some time in trying to at least create your individual, your uniqueness, what you truly want on paper first or digitally first, and then manifest it in the physical world. Does that make sense?
Yes, and but sometimes part of the creation on paper, it has to do with following some role models. Um, if I just come out and I say I want to be the best dentist in the world, well, I think I kind of need to know what that is. What that is.
What's your definition of that? Yeah.
Right. Yesterday, I was talking to a doctor who came in to try out at my office, and he was talking about the god of dentistry, and I go, "You mean Dr. Christensen?"
Who's
And
just
he
down the
said,
road from me.
"Right, right." And we're talking about God, right? And then he goes, "No, that's not that God." But what I mean here is, there's certain role models out there. So you don't have to start everything from scratch. You don't have to say, hey, I want to be the greatest dentist. What does that mean? I'm going to have to sit here and figure that out. Well, look at
Mhm.
all those role models. Do you want to be like so and so? Do you want to be a clinician? Do you want to be a master in, practice management? Do you want to be a combination of both? Do you want to be on stages speaking to people? or do you want to be known as, you know, the number one efficient dentist in America? Dr. Chris Griffin was just on my stage at my event last week, and he was known as the most efficient man in dentistry.
Wow.
And that was something that Dr. Woody Oak said back in the late 2000, you know, 2000, I mean, not early 2000 and 2011 back then. And,
Yeah.
and, and so we don't have to sit there and try to think where do I want to be. There's certain guidelines, there's certain role models out there. So sometimes what's stopping people is not knowing, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Mm, that's a
Look
good
for
point.
those resources, look for those role models, look for what people have already done.
Yeah.
You can still be different. You don't have to be exactly like that person. Cause you, right? Just be you. But you know those goals, those milestones that other people can reach. Like an athlete. If you're just gonna go out and say, I'm gonna run, you know, the marathon or the Olympics, you already know what what the mark is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
You don't have
Yeah.
to
You
say,
already know what the
I just want to
benchmarks
be
are.
the
Yeah.
fastest man, you know, on earth, but then you don't know
You
what
better
the
know what the,
what the
yeah.
record is.
Yeah. And then design your training regime
Right,
to match that.
right. To match
So
that,
let's
to follow
so
that.
so connect that into production because you're saying
Yeah.
unlock our potential by discovering, that uniqueness and identifying with clarity what that is. Now, how do we translate that to actually explode the production? Because how does the athlete go out and actually become fat?
Well, for me, for a high performer, productivity is all about intention. So first, you have to set that intention. I want to achieve X. My goal for this month is so many number of new patients. Or I want to get all of my team on board with this procedure, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have certain goals. And then everything you do, focus on the results. I'm sure you know of teams that we are so busy for the whole day. And at the end of the day, sometimes we don't have the number to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
At other times we weren't that busy, but at the end of the day, we just did 10,000 or 15,000 or 12,000.
Productive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it all has because those kind of results. Productivity doesn't happen by chance. Productivity happens with intention. It happens with blocking your schedule and focusing on what makes the most difference. I have an exercise that I do in my event, which is I ask the doctors write down everything you do in a day, like your normal things. Like you get up and you look at your email and you check your Facebook and then you go to work and whatever it is that you do, right? Write all of those things down, and then I want you to put a check mark next to the activity that actually produced income. So they happily writing down 20 things, and then they got two check marks, right? And then I asked them, do you actually have to do the other 18? Or is that something that you can delegate? And which one of those 20 things that you write down, you're the only one who can do it. So we were chatting a little bit earlier. You say you have your dental clinic, but you're not even in it, right? So you can actually remove yourself from there, and the whole business can still be productive because
Yeah.
you have successfully delegated and transitioned out of that and still get the machine to be running. And I
Right.
think a lot of time when people say, "Well, I want to be more productive," but you know what? I got to do all of this. I need to do the hiring. I need to check all the numbers. I need to run the reports. I need to count the money. I mean, whatever, whatever
Yeah.
you do. But you do all of that, and then you say, "But I'm not that productive," because there's another doctor there who's just going to come in and just going to do the clinical work
Mm-hmm.
and trust the team enough and delegate enough where he or she will only be doing what's producing money.
Mm.
And so all of that has to do with your mindset, what your goal is, and how you set that up, how you protect your time from, we call it energy vampire, you know, the people who come in and just knock on your
Mm-hmm.
door and say,
Just
can I
suck
just
your
have
energy.
5 minutes with you?
Sidetrack you.
And then next it becomes 20 minutes. Like I avoid certain patients who like to talk a lot. And I would just tell my associate, by the way, you have to see Mrs. Joan. Why? Well, she's really nice, but she just talks too much. I just can't take people who talk too much. Because I know me, I'll start walking away. and but then my associate may like to chat. So let me just delegate that to that doctor because that's her strength or his strength. And let
Yeah,
me just go over here and, I don't know, drill a tooth and I'll be done in 5, 10 minutes. I'm
keep your
happier
work
that
done.
way. I don't have to stress myself going in here knowing I'm going to be stuck for that
Mm,
amount of time.
mm-hmm.
And all of that, again, go back to being very intentional. So if you look at your schedule and you know you're not booking where you can maximize your time, um, like there's some downtime, there's some waiting time. How do you get rid of that? So your downtime is your lunchtime, and then you end the day at 6 o'clock, and you're happy. So you put in the first 4 hours, and you're gonna work yourself to death. I'm just kidding.
So I
You
like
just
that though, being very, very clear on
right.
protecting your time and using it for the most productive things that you can do.
Yes, yes.
So then taking that and bringing that into clear goals, because if you can set clear, obtainable goals around those protected time frames,
Right.
then you're saying you've got a greater chance of achieving those.
Yes. So when we're talking about goals, we need to make sure that who has what goals. I'll give you an example. If your receptionist has a goal, okay, your goal is X number of new patients, right? Let's say your goal is bringing 20 new patients, for example, by booking on the phone. That's your goal. She's going to concentrate on that. When you're talking about asking for referral, she's going to be on the ball asking for referral because her goal is to bring in more new people,
Yeah,
right? The hygienist, her goal may be to present elective treatment, and maybe you can tie a bonus to that goal. So you know what? If you present Invisalign and the patient say, okay, let's get started today, and let's say the treatment is, let's say it's 6,000, I'm going to give you $60, right?
yeah,
She has that specific goal. You know
yeah.
what? I'm going to be looking for Invisalign. I'm going to be looking for, cosmetic dentistry, correcting your smile line,
Hmm.
the easy thing of the whitening and things like that. But the more things that you put down as her goal to present, it's easier for her to focus and it's easier for her to achieve. And maybe my goal is to do,
Yeah,
let's say,
yeah,
10,000
because
a
it's
day,
clear.
right? So I'm just going to concentrate. I'm looking at the schedule and I'm going to be looking for where's my $10,000 production. If this is a new
Yeah,
patient, which procedure can I start today? That I'm
yeah,
going to, add on same day production. So clear goals is tied to a metric and is trackable. And that way, when we sit down, we say, "Oh, we did so well today. We feel good." Well, exactly why, right?
yeah,
Because we got our numbers, we got our new patients, we got so many positive reviews because maybe somebody else is in charge of that.
yeah.
And when you have very clear goal, and everyone on your team has a separate goal, so they don't say, "Well, she's booking too many patients. That's why we're going crazy back here." No, her job is her
That's her
job is
job. That's her goal.
right, right. And I find when we do that, the teams are happier because they just focus on one thing, right?
Yeah.
Given that they're competent in their basic duties, it's easier to drive a team and to motivate a team when you have those kind of goals. And then you can actually recognize individuals without the other one
Hmm.
bitching about it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, doctor like so and so. No, I don't like so and so. So and so got her numbers, and you haven't got your numbers.
That's
So,
right.
so you kind of step out of the emotion part of it when you're leading the team, and you're only running the team by metrics.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I tell you, that's you're speaking to the choir. That is the Blue IQ lifestyle. So I love it. This fits right into our software. But
Uh-huh.
going into the schedule, then, how do you optimize the schedule and really make sure that you're hitting the benchmarks in your production?
Well, for me, every doctor has a certain style, right? When they're doing the work. Um, some doctors are better with long procedures like I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna do full mouth kind of thing, and I'm just gonna see two
Hmm.
patients. Some doctors are like me. I kind of hop from chair to chair. That's just my personality.
Yeah.
As long as when I go to chair number two, somebody's in chair number one doing something,
Yeah. Should be
right?
ready to go.
So yeah, so I think when we talk about the schedule, it has to do with number one, your values, what's important to you, right? So if for me, I like the patient to say, hey, I like to come to Dr. Letran's office because it's in and out, right? It sounds kind of
Yeah.
bad,
No, it's
but
efficiency.
I'll,
I
yeah, but I'll,
appreciate that.
yeah, but I'll go and just, get in and get out. I tell people if I see you here any longer, I'm going to charge you rent. And
That's
we're
right.
trying to
Get
do
out of here.
5 crowns or whatever it is, and you're here for 2 hours, and but that's kind of my value. Like I want to have fun. I like to change in the patient. I like to change in the pace. So a fast paced schedule works well for me. And so we just have to watch. I'm going from room one, room two. What is the assistant going to do in room one? Maybe somebody's going to come in and talk to the patient about elective treatment, that kind of thing. Some doctors are more about the big long block schedule. So
Mm.
know your values first, what's important to you, because I think people get stressed out when the values are not in alignment, right? With the schedule. Like I want to
Yeah.
do boutique dentistry and give the utmost personal attention to the patient, and then you're putting me into this hopping, from chair to chair.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm the other way. If you have me sit there for too long, I'm getting stressed, which
Yeah.
is one of the reasons I just said I'm going to stop doing root canals because I don't like sitting there for a long time.
Yeah. It's got to match your
Yeah. So
flow. Your
yeah, so you have your values. You know what you want. You know what you like, and then you make sure that your team is on board. Um, I'll give you an example. If you bring in a new doctor, and let's say that new doctor is slow, and you try to fit that doctor into your schedule and your culture, you're gonna have stress because it's not going well. We're not aligning, and then everybody gets stressed out. So I think it goes back to clarity, knowing what you want, and when you bring in somebody, does that somebody match with what you want and what the team wants, and you want to live as a family. Everybody has to be able to work together. You don't have to all like each other, but yeah, that's asking for too much, right? But you need to be able to work together if you
yeah.
have those same values. If you're showing up to serve patients, that's a plus. It's not to serve yourself to make yourself stand out, in respect to the team. And when you do that, and everybody have a particular number that they need to achieve, your schedule just become more productive.
Yeah.
Because if the goal is to hit those numbers and everybody's working toward those individual aspects of the schedule, that's how you grow. That's how you add in a patient before lunchtime and you don't have the whole team bitching about it
Yeah.
because they
Because
know
now
we're
they
trying to
miss
get to the
lunch.
number,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
but on the other side of that, I would say be a little bit flexible. Um, I want to go to lunch at 1 and I want to go home at 6. Whatever happened from 9 to 1, I actually don't quite care. Because things will fall apart. People will come in late. You, you
It's
know,
okay.
yeah, when it's
We'll deal with
raining,
it.
and then yeah, people come in and they say, well, there was a car accident and this and that. I'm in Southern California. That's a very typical excuse that people give you, and you just
Yeah.
have to be flexible and work around it.
Yeah.
As long as you take care of the team and you take care of the patients. And I think sometimes the stress comes with people not willing to be flexible. They are stuck to their own way, and they're not willing to be flexible to work with the patients, and then you get a little bit of anxiety going if somebody's 5 minutes late or 2 minutes early, and we're late to lunch and you can't get a full lunch because today whatever happened. I'm okay with that. I don't expect every day to be perfect.
Yeah.
I don't expect people to be perfect, not the patient, not me, not the doctor, not the team members. As long as we are working together and we are happy and we are really functioning at our highest capacity, our highest potential.
Love it. Well, listen, we're out of time, unfortunately. And if you've liked what you've heard here, Dr. Letran has an ebook that is specifically on the 5 hacks to unlock profitability in your practice and save time. Um, any more that you want to tease that book, Dr. Letran? Anything
You
that
know,
stands out?
yeah, that particular ebook is actually a like a condensed, a small version of one of my book called "Commit to Embracing Your Big Life." And that
Nice,
book was actually forwarded by my mentor, Sharon Lecter. She is the
cool,
co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. So it's all
impressive.
about what is your goal, where's the revenue is going to come from, how we're going to get to that goal. But
Hmm.
sprinkled throughout the ebook is my story. So
Cool.
some of your listeners may know my story. I came here as a refugee back in 1981 and
Mm,
was starting to learn English and sleeping on the floor because there were 10 of us in a two-bedroom and
wow.
going all the way to UCLA Dental School. And now I'm so blessed to be able to be on a platform like this, creating my own event. I have an event coming up actually January 19th
Oh,
in
good.
Los Angeles, just to share that message and to encourage people to, really look at yourself and evaluate yourself and making sure that you are living up to your potential. So
Yeah.
that book shares some of those strategies that I use to grow my practice going on about 22 years. I've been a dentist for
Wow.
6. And,
Nice.
these are things that I've done. And if you're looking at me, Asian, minority, 4'11", but best mom in the world. Okay, I already claimed that. If you're looking at me and you say, "Hey, how could she do that?" I wanna see how she did that. I
Yeah,
share that in that ebook,
that's
and
incredible.
I would love to have a conversation with the listeners because I think the more conversation we have, the more open we are to learn where we are right now and how we can get to our next level, our next milestone. The more successful we will all be.
I tell you, that's inspiring. And hey, it's Christmas time. Download a copy and share it for Christmas because I love inspiring stories. I'm going to commit to you that I'm going to read it. I haven't read it
Thank
yet,
you.
and I would love to read it, share it. And more opportunities for Dr. Emily to do some blogs. If you've got some topics that you would like Dr. Emily to post on our blog, please share them with us. We can specifically reach out and have her contribute. What a wealth of knowledge! What an inspiring story! Please reach out to Dr. Letran and get a copy of that ebook. But more importantly, ways to engage with her, to do her conversation, 30-minute conversation with Dr. Letran, and and again, just connect and communicate and understand. And that event, where do they go to maybe register for your event? On the same
That
website?
event in LA, it's they can go to bestbusiness.com
Cool.
and they can register for that event. That event is called Action to Win Top of Your Game, and
Nice.
our focus is gonna be on how to position yourself as
Awesome.
the go-to practitioner in the community. So we'll talk about
Awesome.
branding, we'll talk about Facebook marketing, we talk about internal marketing, automation of
Cool.
marketing. We're gonna have Dr. Sargon Lazarov come and talk about the UltraTooth immediate loaded implant system. And of
Yeah.
course, I'm going to share strategies on how to be a high performer. And
Nice.
my goal is to just reach out to the doctors in the community to get them into the room, invest in themselves. Really, it's going to be a whole day of listening to strategies that work and go back and implement. Or some of them you can implement it right then and there because I have doctors writing commitments to themselves in the
Awesome.
seminar. So they can, it's not going to be, oh, I forgot about that. No, I took, you wrote the list. You
Beautiful.
gave yourself a
That's
deadline.
right.
Let's go do it. Mhm.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Emily, thanks for being part of our show. Absolute pleasure today. To our audience, thanks for being part of the Blue IQ family. We are here every Friday within the Blue with phenomenal guests helping you scale your practice, whether that's a single location or multiple. That is what Blue IQ is all about, bringing you the tools of Titans. Grateful to be with you. Again, we'll be back 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Have a beautiful In the Blue day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing me on your platform.